such an asshole.
I'm not trying to.
I was supposed to die in that hospital. My life would have fucking mattered. But you took that from me.
If somehow the Lord gave me a second chance at that moment, I would do it all over again.
I don't even know where to start. You people that did not enjoy the game, answer me this. How and why? I was sitting through all those credits contemplating what I had just experienced. This damn game had me in so many mixed and uncomfortable emotions that I couldn't possibly put it into words, but I'll do my best. Let's start with the simplest of things, my likes and dislikes of the game. Expect spoilers throughout the video though, because you can't review this game without covering everything, so consider this your warning. Now, keep in mind, these are all my subjective opinions, so if you don't agree, I honestly couldn't care less. Anyway, the stealth and combat of the game feels largely exactly like part 1, although I do have to admit I like the fact that they included some minor improvements to keep it more interesting, like the dogs that can sniff you out while in stealth, the ability to go prone, which did open a few avenues of progression. The enemy AI seems smarter and more coordinated, and the fact that you can now craft your own arrows and explosive arrows is really a win. The silencer was also a nice touch, which offered a higher chance of succeeding in a stealth encounter. Exploration also has its challenges in the forms of new puzzles, like roping and crawling over and under smaller gaps, but this is honestly just replaced by dumpsters and ladders from part 1, so it got a bit repetitive after a while. Also, the exploration gets completely cut off if you accidentally go through a door that progresses the game, so I did not enjoy that as much. A weird punishment for exploration, not really a fan. We also did get the jump button, which seemed nice at first until you realize it is borderline useless. I also really like the fact that the skill trees for both Ellie and Abby were different, and the weapons available for each character also mixed things up a little bit, but honestly they felt very similar to play as, which you wouldn't expect from two people that are so different in terms of size and ability. I mean, Ellie is a small, agile character. Abby is much buffer, bigger, the raw damage type, if you know what I'm getting at. Also, the fact that you have a knife with Ellie that was infinitely usable until you get to Abby, that bugged me, because when you get back to Abby, you are back to shivs. Are you really telling me that this badass military chick does not own a combat knife? Really? NPCs were also, or NPC allies were also just as useless as in the first game when it came to sneaking around, which kind of sucked because they broke the immersion for me in some cases. Not all of them, but some cases. I did also really like the fact that when you are shot to the ground, you can retaliate immediately by shooting while on your back. This made encounters a bit more interesting and intense. Now, we get to the juicy part. The part that separated most of the Last of Us fan base. The story. But first, if you made it this far in the video, congrats Pumpkin. You have an attention span longer than most of the TikTok community, so hit that like button and the subscribe buttons, because honestly it just stroked my ego and it will make you feel like a good person. You start the game off with Ellie in an uneasy way. Her personal life seems uncomfortable, to say the least, and every interaction she has with other characters seems awkward, and it almost comes across as if she's struggling to come up for air. That particular feeling is carried over so well that I think the players can almost feel it ourselves. And that very feeling is one that is an underlying tone throughout the entire game, which you will notice in either subtle or substantial ways. In the scene where Joel gets murdered by Abby, that feeling becomes almost like a drowning sensation in which you are completely helpless, and it lights the fuse of the journey that will keep you anxious and almost breathless, really. We get a short section where we start, or where we play as Abby, and it seemingly comes across as if she's busy hunting Ellie, only to then be rescued by Joel in a miraculous coincidence where we learn who her target was the whole time. And from this point on, almost every player hated Abby and started questioning what Joel could have possibly done to warrant such a gruesome execution. Ellie then, to no one's surprise, goes off out on a killing spree looking for Abby. Now, I've seen some other reviews where critics said that Ellie didn't have enough groundwork laid out to warrant her brutality, and she is brutal, don't get me wrong. It can be seen in the way that she handles stealth takedowns and how she treats people who she's hunting. But keep in mind, in this world, it is kill or be killed, and enemies in Ellie's way will almost always shoot on sight, so killing them off is really not that big of a surprise. And when it comes to her targets, most of her actions weren't done in cold blood. Take Nora for example. Ellie chased her down after giving her a chance to point her in the direction of Abby. Nora refused and shouted orders to the other wolves to stop Ellie. When she eventually catches her, Ellie resorts to what could be assumed as torture, because Nora, who was already dying, still refused to give up Abby's location, and this action of torture on Nora shook Ellie to her core, which we could see in her response and how she acted in the scenes to follow. She was simply not ready for it. Similarly with Owen and Mel, Ellie gave them the chance to live by giving up Ellie's location, and when they tried to attack her, they both ended up dying, revealing that Mel was pregnant, and this then shook Ellie even more, and it was clear that it was not her intention to kill them. And that costly mistake would make its way back to Ellie. Shortly after that, Abby finds Ellie. Shortly after that, we are left on a cliffhanger by being thrown into the shoes of Abby a few days prior to when she met Ellie. Oh, these names are tongue twisters. And with Abby, we go off an adventure with one simple goal in mind: to find Owen. And you quickly realize that Abby is not as ruthless and as evil as we were led to believe in the beginning. She's simply a daughter who wanted revenge for her father, and afterwards she continued on as a loyal friend and soldier, doing what she felt was best. It is when we meet the two Scars, Yara and Lev, that we see the true character growth in Abby, where she keeps them safe and goes back to save them. And this happened after she and Owen had their little tango, but before that Owen said something to Abby which I believe caused the massive change of heart that she had. He said something along the lines of, "Maybe we lost our light," right after explaining the incident with him and Danny. And to be honest, as Abby spent more time with Lev in particular, and we see the two of them connect over their journey, I really started liking Abby much more than I had expected. And that led to me not wanting Ellie or Abby to die. The story on a surface level comes across as a petty revenge plot, but it went so much deeper than that. Throughout everything, the game doesn't let up with making you feel uncomfortable, and it always presents a deep feeling of danger. It holds you by the throat and forces you to watch as this nightmare unfolds. And the ending might feel a little drawn out for some people, but I found that it kept me on edge of my seat up until Ellie put the guitar down and the credits rolled shortly after. This was not a happy story with a happy ending. And why would you expect it to be? I mean, all hope was lost when Joel killed the people who could have made a cure. Nothing about this world feels happy. But the fact that it lacks happiness does not take away from the awesome story that was laid out before us. And it really drives home the fact that revenge could cost you way more than you had bargained for. So, I really feel that this game deserved much more praise than it did, because the story was a unique one. It was, like I said, almost a suffocating story that was just bad news all around, all dark and terrible things kept happening. And I mean, we barely see any light-hearted moments, and I think that was done intentionally. And I think it leaves room for a part 3 that might be the polar opposite, a complete contrast of what we had experienced in this journey. So that is just my 2 cents on the take. So if you have played the game and did not like it, maybe try it again with this in mind, that this game is meant to be dark, it is meant to make you feel uncomfortable, because the actions and the decisions that take place in the game are not something that should be taken lightly ever, and it really makes you question that, is Ellie or Abby in the right? Because either one of them could justify their actions, but in the end it costed them all of their friends, it costed them a lot of their loved ones, and you know, Ellie even almost lost more than that. She lost Jesse, she would have lost Tommy, and she lost Dina and what's the baby's name, JJ, in the end. So in the words of Arthur Morgan, revenge is a fool's game. But that is it for now. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned for the next video. I'll be covering the Uncharted series next, seeing how those games hold up. And again, if you liked the video, let me know by leaving a like and subscribing. Ciao. May God bless you all and stay safe.